to see everyone here. Yeah, I can.
Well, we're glad to see you too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to go in a little different tack here, maybe wind up some in the same place in that. But I'm going to start out with Psalms 19, verses 1 through 4. The heavens are recounting the glory of El, and the atmosphere is telling the work of his hands. Day after day is uttering a saying, and night after night is disclosing knowledge. There is no audible saying, there are no words, their voice is unheard. Yet into the entire earth their voice goes forth, and into the ends of the habitats is their declarations. You just walk out outside in some clear night and you look up in the heavens, you go, wow. Where did this all come from? How did this get here? What's going on here? Now, I did this a little before several years ago down in Washington, D.C. We had a conference in that. This is not going to be a lesson on astronomy, okay, or astrophysics or whatever. How many know the speed of light? What is the speed of light? Most people should know that or probably know it. What is the speed of light?
186,000.
286.
286.
176.
Really fast.
It's faster than I can run.
You betcha. 186,000 miles per second. Okay? That's really smoking along. Have any of you ever calculated how long light travels in a year? And astronomers and those who study these things use light years. They don't use miles or whatever, they use light years. So how far does light travel in a year, which is a light year? Now, don't go calculating. There's not enough time for you to calculate in that. 5.88 trillion miles. 5.88 trillion miles. Now, to put this in perspective, if we were to go from the Earth, from the sun to the Earth, a packet of light that leaves the sun takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach the Earth. Okay? And that's 93 million miles away. That's how far the sun is away. If you were to travel to the moon and you were to take a journey there, in order to leave the Earth's atmosphere and to leave the Earth's gravitational pull, you have to travel to 17,000 to 18,000 miles an hour. That's why those big rockets have those huge fuel tanks on it, because it's really got to power it up, all right? 17,000 to 18,000 miles per hour. That means it would take about a spaceship about 3 days to travel to the moon. And some of you in here, some of you are not, but some of you in here remember 1969 when man went to the moon. It took 3 days to get to the moon, all right? To get to the sun, that same spacecraft, to get to the sun from the Earth, if they could do that without burning up before they got there, it would take 228 days for that same spaceship traveling at 17,000 to 18,000 miles an hour to get to the sun. If you were traveling in a jetliner, we've all traveled in a jetliner, about 550, I'm just pulling a figure, 550 miles an hour. If you could do that, you could escape Earth's gravitational pull and get to the sun or travel to the sun. It would only take you 7,424 days or over 20 years to get to the sun. Now you think it's hard sitting in an airline seat for a 12-hour trip. This is pushing the limit just a bit. If you were traveling in a Blackbird, anybody know what a Blackbird is? An SR-71? All right, an SR-71, the fastest airplane ever manufactured, at least up to this time. And that, if you were traveling on an SR-71 or Blackbird, it would take you 1,811 days or 4.96 years to get to the sun. Okay? Up here we have the picture of the Milky Way. Just the Milky Way is where our solar system resides. Just a garden variety, ordinary galaxy out there. Okay? To get from one side of the galaxy to the other side of the galaxy. Now remember how far light travels in 1 year. Our solar system is about 120,000 to 200,000 light years across. So to get from one side of the Milky Way galaxy to the other side of the Milky Way galaxy would take 120,000 light years. Big. Really big. Okay? It is awesome. This Milky Way galaxy contains billions, not M, billions of stars. Some estimates are that the Milky Way contains between 100 and 400 billion stars. Pull up the Laniakea. This is what they call a supercluster. It's a group of galaxies in one cluster. And this is called the Laniakea. And this galaxy, or this supercluster of galaxies, is approximately 520 million light years across. Okay? There are estimates that there are approximately in the universe 10 million of these super clusters of galaxies in the universe. Is your idea of the universe getting pretty big now? Okay. And science believes, and this is just their estimate, just their guess, that the galaxy or the universe is expanding at an ever increasing rate. It's getting bigger and bigger. The estimate of the number of the stars in the universe, and I'm going to use a word that I bet most, if not all of you, have never heard before, but some of you may have. The estimated number of stars in the universe is 1 septillion. How many have ever heard of that phrase before? You have. Well, very good. 1 septillion. I was going to write it out on the board here, but I don't have enough room. A septillion is 1 followed by 24 zeros. Psalms chapter 147, verses 4 and 5 says, "The one counting the number of stars, he is calling them by their names. Great is our Lord and vast in vigor. As to his understanding, there is no enumeration of it." Now, how would you like to sit down and God says, okay, all right, Jerry, I want you to name all the stars. There's only 1 septillion of them. And you can't repeat the names. Now we have, there's a couple of marks in here and there's a couple of other, whatever. But you can't repeat the name. There is different names for every star. God has named every star. And everything in this, oh, by the way, forgot to tell you. You see this dot right there? Does everybody see that dot right there? That's the Milky Way galaxy. That tiny little dot right there is the galaxy that we live in that is approximately 120 to 200,000 light years across. We have only been able to observe a small percentage of the universe out there. This universe that's out here is vibrating with energy. Science is now coming to the realization that the entire universe is vibrating. There's an energy out there. It's not just an inert bunch of rocks that are stars out there. It's vibrating. Now, science doesn't know this. They can't explain it. I think I can explain it. That is the presence of God. And his energy is vibrating this entire universe. I'm almost halfway through and I want to get where. Not only do we have stars, but we have dark matter that's so dense it can't be detected. No radiation is emitted from it. We have black holes. Black holes are so dense that not even light can escape it. The gravitational pull is so incredibly strong. Asteroids, comets, other planets, neutrinos, quarks. Quarks are the result of stars collapsing on each other in that, dense matter in that. We have photons. And what are we compared to this? We're sitting here in a little motel in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. That's located in Pennsylvania, in the United States of America. It's located in the world, which is part of the solar system. That's a tiny speck within the big galaxy of the Milky Way galaxy, which in itself is a tiny speck in the Laniakea galaxy. And there are 10 million of these super galaxies, super cluster galaxies out in the universe. Did you know that the Earth, of all the places in the universe, the known universe, the Earth is the most, how should I say it? It's the prime location for observing the rest of the universe. Not Mars, not Jupiter, not Saturn, not somewhere over here in our solar system. The Earth is the prime location to observe the rest of the universe. I'm sure that's just by coincidence. I'm sure. Must be. In Daniel chapter 4, 34 and 35, don't turn to it. I have it written out here. I don't have time to turn to it. Nebuchadnezzar. Most of you may know the story. Nebuchadnezzar walks out into the patio and the porch, and he looks at his kingdom and he says, I, Nebuchadnezzar, I built this. I brought this about. I am the most powerful. I am the great kahuna. And so what does God do to him? He says, okay, I'm going to show you. And he humbles him. And he humbles him for how long? 7 years. And he's at the point where he's in a field eating grass. His hair is growing long. His fingernails are growing long. He's out of his mind. And in those days, you just didn't dispose of Nebuchadnezzar. You know, well, we'll put somebody else in. That wasn't going to happen. And so at the end of 7 years, God restores to him his mind. And he is humbled. At the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to the heavens, and my knowledge was returning to me. Then I blessed the Supreme, and I lauded and honored him who is living for the eon, since his jurisdiction is an Aeonian jurisdiction, and his kingdom is with generation after generation. All those abiding on the earth are reckoned as naught. According to his will, he is doing with the army of the heavens and with those abiding on the earth, and there is no one who shall stay his hand and say to him, what have you done? Isaiah 45, verses 6 and 7. They that know that from the rising of the sun and from the west there is no one apart from me. I am Yahweh and there is no other. Former of light and creator of darkness, maker of good and creator of evil. I, Yahweh, make all these things. Did you catch that part of that verse where he says, I create good and evil. I create light and darkness. God creates everything. God is involved in the universe. He's involved in every atom that is present in the universe. He is involved. The next lesson, I'm going to show you something going to really blow your mind. Okay. Why is it this way? Or I'm sorry. Daniel 10, verses 10 through 14. Daniel is waiting for an answer to a prayer. He's concerned. He's had this vision. He's had this dream, and he's really upset about it. And he prays to God that God will give him an answer to this prayer. And so a messenger comes down to give him an answer to the prayer. And what happened? It took that messenger how long to get to the earth? 3 weeks. He's traveling faster than the light year because he's being dispatched from the heaven above all heavens. And it takes him. And why did it take him 3 weeks? He would have gotten there sooner, but what happened? Prince of Persia was preventing him. Now, why do you say the Prince of Persia? Persia is a country in the earth at this time. What is he talking about? The Prince of Persia. Well, the heavens, Job 15:15 says, the heavens are unclean. There is battle. There is conflict going on in the heavens. And every country on this earth, then and now, there are celestial beings that are preventing and stirring up trouble and stirring up discord. That's why Paul says we don't fight against the physical things in the earth. Where a battle is against principalities and powers in the air. That's where the battle is. Your job is not to go down to Washington, D.C. and protest. All right? Because if you do, it doesn't matter. Pretty soon Trump's going to be out, somebody else is going to be in, and then they're going to be out, and someone else is going to be in. And our job is not to protest. Our job is to take the panoply of God and resist. And why is it this way? Because God did what? He wrote the script. He brought the sin into the world. And for some people, that is just almost impossible to believe. God brought sin into the world for his purposes. We learn by contrast. Should I stay in one place, Steve? I tend to run around. Okay. God brought contrast in the world to teach us. To teach us. We are going to look back, and Mike was talking about we're going to have memories, and we're going to look back at this when we're resurrected, and they're with the rest of the brethren at the consummation. And we're going to look back and we're going to go, yeah, God was right in bringing that about. God is going to be justified. He's going to be justified. Yep, I didn't know it at the time, but I understand now. I understand now. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 13. Oh, where's the time going? For the rest, brethren mine, be invigorated in the Lord and in the might of his strength. Put on the panoply of God to enable you to stand up to the stratagems of the adversary. For it is not ours to wrestle with blood and flesh, but with the sovereignties, with the authorities, and with the world mights of this darkness, with the spiritual forces of wickedness among the celestials. This is written to the church, which is his body. The world out there doesn't understand this. They're going through difficult times and they can't figure it out. God has not given them that light. They will at some day, but they don't have it now. So what does this mean for us in the future? In our vivification, we're going to have a body like Christ. In Philippians chapter 3, verses 20 through 21, it says, who will transfigure our body of our humiliation to conform it to the body of his glory, in accord with the operation which enables him even to subject all to himself. You and I are going to have a body like Christ's body. By the way, how long do you think it took Christ when he ascended to the Father to get to the Father? Beam me up, Scotty. A septillion. No, I don't think so. Okay? We're going to have a body like his body. We're going to be, for us in that day to travel from the one side of Linaea cluster to the other side, just like that. Just like that. And some of us in here won't even need an airplane to do that in. Okay?
You might still prefer one.
I might, but our inheritance, our allotment is in the heavens. And Paul says in Ephesians chapter 1, verses 7 through 11. By the way, if you read Ephesians chapter 1, verses 1 through 12, I've said this before. Many times I've gone in and I started to read Ephesians. I'm going to read the whole book at this one sitting. And you get through verses 1 through 12 and you go, there is that much in there. And you never get tired of reading it and contemplating it and meditating on it. Verse 7 in there, in whom we having the deliverance through his blood, the forgiveness of offenses, in accordance with the riches of his grace, which he lavishes on us in all wisdom. This is not the God of Jonathan Edwards, the harsh, mean, nasty, angry God. God delights to lavish on us his goodness. Wait a minute. We're in little old planet Earth in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania right now. In this little solar system, the Milky Way, which is in this big cluster. And there are millions of them out there. And God says, no, I'm going to lavish my joy on you. I'm going to lavish my love on you. I'm going to lavish my love on you. I always have to include my granddaughter.
You wouldn't have her without me.
Moving on.
Love you too.
Yeah, I love you. Oh no, I lost my plate now. In accord with his delight, which he purposed in him to have an administration of the complement of the heirs to head up what? All in the Christ. Both that are in the heavens and that are on the earth. In him, in whom our lot was cast, also being designated beforehand, according to the purpose of the one who is operating all in accord with the counsel of his will. We are the complement of Christ, and we become the Christ. We are the complement of Christ. That word complement means to fill up, to bring full that which was lacking before. And the complement, Christ is the complement of God. Now think about that for a second. The Christ is the complement of God. and you say, wait a minute. God needs something to fill him up, to complete him? That's sacrilegious. That's heresy. God doesn't need anything to complete himself. Well, yes, he does, because that's what the word says. And I'm going to tell you why that is. Okay? In Romans 11:36, one of my favorite verses, very favorite verses, Apostle Paul says, for out of him and through him and to him is lots of things.
No.
Many things.
No.
All
Yeah.
things. That divine cycle. All things. Including this galaxy, including you, my daughter. Including everything. And the reason that is so is because that God needs completing is because all things came out of him. Okay? There's a fancy theological term called ex nihilo, which theologians like to throw around and makes them look smart and erudite. Ex nihilo means out of nothing. But that's not right.
It's not.
According to what the Bible says and what God says, that's not right. Everything came out of him. Therefore, God has a vested interest in everything that came out of him.
Right.
If it was ex nihilo, it would simply be, well, that's the creation. You know, I'm going to send some to hell. I'm going to send most of them to hell, and I'm going to save some because I'm a nice guy. No, everything came out of him, and he's not complete until everything comes back to him. And so it doesn't matter if your name is Jennifer Hartwell or Adolf Hitler, God's not going to lose anyone or anything. All came out of him, all is going through him, and all is going to come back to him. We are the recipients of his joy. And we don't have to do anything to receive it. We don't have to earn it. We don't have to work for it. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to spend nights sitting up thinking about, oh, what have I not done? You know what all we have to do? We just have to sit back and enjoy the ride. That's all we have to do. We are so prone, particularly in this country, that we've got to earn it. We've got to work for it. We've got to somehow attain to it. And God says, in fact, God says, you're disrespecting me if you think you have to work for it. If you think you have to work for it, that's disrespect. Because I, through my Son, accomplished it all. I didn't even realize we had that clock there. I've got another minute left. Woo, yeah, okay. We right now are witnesses on this earth right now. We're in preparation. This is boot camp. How any of you ever been to boot camp? I've been to boot camp. I've been to Marine boot camp. Okay? And it's one of those experiences where you go, boy, I don't want to go through that again. But I'm glad I went through. And this is what life is now. You're going to look back someday in glory and you go, I'm glad I went through it. Because, oh, do I appreciate the love of God and the joy of God and the grace of God and the mercy of God. We're witnesses now, not only to those around us, but to the celestial beings, to the grace and the love and the mercy of God. Thank you very much.